Insights is an effort from members and supporters of the VenusProject.com resource-based economy and is not an official spokesperson, representative, or act in any official capacity and serves only to encourage, support, and motivate other TVP activists.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Activism Insights. My name is Luke Wonderly. Today is Thursday, June 1st, 2017. And I'd like to welcome everybody, and thanks a lot for tuning in and listening. Before I go through some of the preliminary, all these radio shows that I'll do in Activism Insights always has a few preliminary questions that I'll ask the guests. And, you know, who are you? What part of the world are you in? How did you learn of the Venus Project? And why do you support it? What you're currently doing? What kind of methods and approaches you use in being able to deliver that message? But before I do that with myself on the first show, I'd like to go through and give a few details about what the show's purpose is and its intent. Activism Insights is a radio show that is designed to offer tools, support, and motivation to other TVP activists who are out in the field delivering the message. Now, what does that mean? We were asked, and anyone who becomes aware of and learns more about the Venus Project, that we were asked by Jacque and Roxanne that if this made sense to us, if we felt that this was a positive direction, if we wanted to see this happen, if we gravitated towards this particular effort, that we should go tell people about it and help spread awareness and deliver this message to people so that we have enough people on the planet Earth to be able to transcend and be able to transition to a resource-based economy. So the show's purpose is to acknowledge all of those out there that work very hard, who often find themselves alone in a world of insanity, where they're often condemned by their own friends, relatives, very mean and hurtful remarks by others who don't understand the initial rejection that they experience by people, and condemnation and sarcasm and hurtful statements often by people who just simply have what I call, and we'll discuss later, initial rejection. So that's what the show is about, is to acknowledge and support and to offer different methods and approaches in how to talk to people and how to deliver this message. And I have been with the Venus Project effort for a number of years, and I've gained some insight which I'd like to share. And the show isn't about me, it's about others and how we can deliver this message. I'd like to conduct interviews. I've already conducted a number of interviews, and we'll be able to have interviews with people all over the planet Earth, what they're doing in their vicinity, how they reach people, different methods and approaches that they use to help deliver this message. So the purpose is to help broaden our knowledge, to gain insight in how to talk to people, how to deliver this message and really reach people, and more importantly, invite and have people begin participating. So that's what the purpose of the show is. And I think it's going to be very exciting. I've already conducted a number of interviews. We'll all be going to the Venus Project Research Center in Venus, Florida, where I've conducted a number of interviews. And you can look forward to some really insightful and very insightful and helpful interviews. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and ask myself my own questions. And that is who I am. And my name is Luke Wonderly. I reside currently in Lansing, Iowa. in the United States. And I learned of the Venus Project, as so many others have, through Peter Joseph's work of the Zeitgeist Addendum. And that's how I was exposed to Jacque and Roxanne. Actually, I had about a few months before that, I had originally seen Zeitgeist, and I had done extensive research at that time on the web. And I also came across a video which described, I asked Roxanne about it, she didn't remember, but there was an early video about the processes and the building structures and the type of systems approach that at that time they had talked about licensing, and I totally discounted it. I didn't like the idea of profit. And it was later, a few months later, that I had watched the movie, the original movie Zeitgeist, and I was all mad. In fact, I wrote Peter, and Peter, it was wonderful work, but it got everybody all excited. And then what, Now what? You got everybody. I wrote to him right away that night, as soon as I was done. I wrote to him on YouTube, and I said, man, what good is all this? You get everybody all excited, and now what? What good is this? And he came out with addendum, and I watched it immediately the first night it was released. And the next day, because I started researching it that night, there was a radio show that was hosted called TVP Radio, or V Radio, and a wonderful gentleman was conducting that, and he had Jacque and Roxanne as guests. And so I called up right away, and I talked to him, and I thanked him. And, so that's how I learned about the Venus Project. And why do I support it? Why do I work at helping this effort? Because I understand fully the methods and the systems approach that's benevolent only, solely, and exclusively to humankind and the earth. I have a lot of interesting background and influences that were very unusual. Someday I'll talk about that. And all my life I had, it was anti-war and demonstrations and all of that. I'm 60. This is 59. I'll be 60 in July. And so it was early days. It was late 60s. And so when I learned of this, it was just like everything I'd ever wanted to see. And what thrilled me more than anything else was the fact that there was a plan. There was a systems approach. There was a plan that was developed through every phase of transition. And all of the different factors that had honed and shaped human behavior were recognized in detail. And I just, man, it was everything to me. It didn't have anybody in the back. I've been with a lot of companies. I've been with a lot of organizations, and always somewhere in the back, there's some guy making a buck. It was always that way. And this was not the case. This is the sheer love of humanity and the earth that superseded any desire. And to make sure, I went to the Venus Project. How I got there was very interesting. That we'll come back to that. But I spent a week with him, and man, I pestered him. I answered all kinds of questions, and I did interviews, and I created some virtual reality capture of the Venus Project Research Center in '09, and so that we would have that, and how this plan of world peace began, what its roots were, what it was like back in 2009. And after that week, it absolutely changed my life. And I have ever since been involved and have given all other things up. To me, it's more important than any self. I've done a lot of stuff, so I've cut it out of my system. So that's why I support the Venus Project. How do I go about delivering the word? For me, it's real easy. It's just so easy to talk to people. And we'll discuss this about how easy it is to just bring it up in our day-to-day conversations and interactions with everyone that we interact with, wherever we go. For me, it's really easy. And so I also have tackled a few different endeavors to try to do that, created videos, did the peace walk, have constantly created materials and everything I can do with the limited tools that I have, and to help support this. And I just talk to everyone wherever I go, and I find it very easy, and we'll discuss some of those as each show goes on. I don't want these shows to be about me, and I also don't want to be alienated. I don't want to have people think that I'm something other than who and what they are, because I'm not. I'm just like you. You know, I never had children. I'm single. I don't have mortgages or car payments or any of that. Got all this stuff out of my system. I ran a business for many, many, many years. Had 4 employees for almost 15 years, 14 and a half years. And so, you know, I've done all that, and it's just me. So I can afford to go through a lot of sacrifice, and nothing else is as important to me as doing this. And I'm no different. I just happen to be here. I just happen to be in the position. If you were in my position, you would be doing the same thing. If you were in my position, you would have done the peace walk. If you were in my position, you would have gone to the Venus Project Research Center. And yeah, so there's no difference. I'm not any different than you guys. And a lot of time people say, "Oh, you know this," and I don't like that. I don't want to be distant. I don't want to be alienated in some way, thinking that I'm something I'm not. I'm just like you. And so, you know, we're all doing what we can with what we've got. If we do that, and all of us do our job of delivering that message, it will get through. And so, what else is there? A little bit more about the show. We'll be conducting interviews from all over the world. One of the things I'd like to do in this broadcast is acknowledge those that have helped me to do this show, who have helped provide tools, internet, bill, a camera, the equipment, the computer, the microphones, all the different tools that are really necessary to be able to conduct a little radio show like this. And some of the people I'd like to thank are Craig Kolak. These are all Venus Project supporters, none of them who are very wealthy, and some of these contributions and that they made to me in donations hurt a little bit. And I want to acknowledge that, because this is the reason why I'm doing it, because I have the tools. So Craig Kolak, Sirtaz Ranuta, I think I'm saying it right, Ranuta. And Sirtaz has been a long time Venus Project supporter and activist. Very knowledgeable, a wonderful musician, by the way. We'll talk about the upcoming music album for the Phase 2 fundraiser. And I'd also like to thank Saso Lunzar. Saso provided and purchased a little device that enables me to have more than one USB on the computer. And the computer, by the way, was donated by Sirtaz. It's a used laptop that has bumped up its RAM. It's a fantastic piece of equipment. And I just never had anything this nice. And I really thank you. And this particular computer didn't have a camera, and so it only had one USB. So Sirtaz provided the computer, donated it, purchased it, donated it, sent it to me in Iowa. Craig Kolak purchased the camera. He pays for the internet bill every month for me to be able to do this. I'd also like to thank Reginal Cross. Reginal Cross is a newer member and supporter, and who's involved. And he provided the microphone. He provided 3 microphones. One is a portable unit. These are great mics. I did a small broadcast about it at the research center. Showed the microphone. It's called a Meteor mic, and it's great. And he also gave me and donated a smaller portable Meteor mic. And in addition, on the recording list of equipment that I need in order to be able to produce the music album, he donated a very good mic, an XLR, and it's a really wonderful studio mic, become very helpful, and I was able to cross that off the list of equipment that I need. So Reginal has just, and he also goes by Gizmo, and so he's a great young man, has a family, and we got, on the way to Venus, we drove to Florida from Chicago, Craig and I, and we stopped in a state of Georgia and met him, and he had to get up at like 3 in the morning. Our clocks are different, you know, we forgot about all that. He was a great guy, came out to we met at a restaurant, brought the equipment, told me how to use it. We had fellowship, great motivation, great guy. Thank you, brother. I'd also like to thank Saso Lunzar, who provided this USB device that enables me to have the microphone, have the camera, get it all plugged in. And in addition, his wife, Jennifer Huse, and they were both with Roxanne and Jacque during his passing, and I really think we all owe them a debt of gratitude. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Very difficult time for anyone. And to be there for Roxanne was extremely important. I'm deeply thankful. I'd also like to thank Roxanne Meadows for all of her life's devotion to Jacque. Just so thankful. And to acknowledge that she is at the helm and at the wheel and very serious as we retool and head into the future for transition. And I thank her so much. I'd also like to thank Alan David, who has been very helpful. He has been a tremendous supporter. I'd also like to thank Benjamin Courtin. Benjamin Courtin, who provided some great graphics, and we had to go back and forth. He had to find them, and he did. And thank you, Ben. Really appreciate that. Helped out a lot. And Joe Park. Now, I think a lot of people know who Joe is. Joe is every Tuesday. He does great posts on TVP lectures that are online. He'll pick out a really great topic. He also welcomes new members. Joe's just a fantastic man and a great contribution to the Venus Project's efforts. So it looks like we're coming to the close of the show. Also want to thank every single one of you that go up against, untold difficulties trying to deliver this message. This show is dedicated to you, and I will do everything I can. We'll have some tools available next week. Try to do one once a week. So I thank you all and hope you'll tune in again, and look forward to doing the interviews with each and every one of you. Thanks, everybody. This music was done by Sirtaz, so I'm still kind of learning it. It has an exit and with the Venus Project's address. Bye, everybody.
For more information on the venusproject.com resource-based economy, log on to the venusproject.com website or check out the venusproject.com YouTube channels and Facebook pages.